Good evening, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer, and I hope you're all doing really well tonight. What do you think we're up to today? If you guessed more Golgari Midrange in Modern, live recorded competitive league, you are correct. Everybody's favorite deck. And continuing along the theme of just kind of tweaking as we go, like one change here, one change there throughout the month, which I don't usually do, but the inclusion of War of the Spark tech has kind of thrown stuff off. And I'm bringing back Choke for this league because, I mean, if you've seen these not War of the Spark, these Modern Horizons spoilers, holy moly is there a lot of blue stuff. Today we just got, as of this recording, we just got Factor Fiction spoiled a little while ago. That's the last time I looked we had Factor Fiction, but we've got Prohibit, we've got, of course, Force of Negation. Now, I'll be talking about the spoilers on this channel a lot, but suffice to say, blue decks are gonna be back like crazy, in my opinion, just based on what we've seen thus far. And I bet people are gonna be starting off now. We'll keep this. Therefore, I decided to switch the Choke back in, and we're actually not playing with Ashiok. Feels bad, but I don't know, I just didn't really want yet another 3-drop if I'm bringing back the Choke, is basically what it came down to. So, we're on the play against an opponent keeps 7. It looks like Azorius taxes, blue-white taxes, so they're going to go turn 1 Vial, turn 2 Thalia. They've also got Supreme Phantom. Oh, Supreme Phantom. Never mind. This is blue-white Spirits. Interesting. Okay. So, I don't really know what our best take is here, to be perfectly honest. It might just be the Thalia. But Vial slows them down the most. Copter is nice grindy value, and Supreme Phantom is the only actual spirit. Honestly, all 4 of these are very viable, but if we're going to go Bob next turn, I think... You know, it looks like we're going to have the mana to deal with Thalia, actually, so let's not take Thalia. Thinking about the Supreme Phantom here, or just the Ether Vial. I actually think I'm just going to take Vial. I believe that our hand gives us the value we need to compete with extra draws from the Bob, plus the value from Kalidas. Shouldn't be too much of an issue to stay ahead of them on resources, despite having not taken away an actual piece of gas, right? So I think that's how those decisions should be made. Generally, is like, do we need to slow them down, or do we need to take away gas? Alright, we drew Fatal Push. That's pretty sweet. I think I'm just going to cast that. Get in for 2. That allows me to cleanly resolve my deploy my Treetop Village. It means we don't have to ramp them early with a trophy, and it means we don't have to leave the Thalia around, who is a bit of a pain. Now, there's also incentives to just hold the removal for Kalidas, but again, I think we have enough value where we don't really need to do that. And they play a Smuggler's Copter. We flip a Tarmogoyf and a land. Alright. So it's going to be Kalidas time. Let's attack with the Bob first. Alright, so I'm just making sure. Yeah, I think this Flooded Strand is out of their hand. And then they play the Nimbus Maze, so we know only the Phantom, 3 unknowns. Now, right away we're against a blue deck, but I don't believe Choke is correct here. They're an Ether Vial deck, they play a lot of Seachrome Coast, and they play utility lands like Nimbus Maze, so we're probably not choking them out here, or at least not required to in any case. Alright, we've got some good draws, including that Fatal Push, so I suppose we just begin with an attack here. Nebelgast Herald. You got it. So that's a pretty good tempo play. I'm actually going to attack. I don't mind the trade here at all. And if they want to crew the copter, then... yeah, didn't think so. Alright, so let's try this Liliana. They know about her. Any Edict here is good because we've got Kalitas on field. Yeah, we could just honestly play Goyf here. That might be better. But at the same time, there's no hurry, so we'll just pass. Either is viable here in this position, in my opinion. Remember, they do know about the Goyf as well. That was flipped by a Bob earlier, I believe. There's a Selfless Spirit, sure. And a Drog Skull Captain. You got it. So if we want, we can trophy the copter in response here. But I don't think I care about that. So sure, you got it. I think I'd rather get the actual kill. Or at least draw out the Selfless Spirit. The kill on an actual spirit, I should say. I'm speaking a little bit imprecisely. I gotta tighten up my commentary. Okay, opponent attacks us. Interesting. Yeah, pretty futile to try to do anything but race us, I suppose. So what I'm going to do here is trophy away the Drog Skull here to make them decide on their sack or lack thereof before they get the info from the loot. And I'm sure they're supposed to probably just sack here, but that does leave them tapped out. So that's the kind of, that's the alternative. Yep, they do sack. And note that they still get to search, because the spell still resolves, even though it doesn't kill the captain there. Alright. Cool, so they ditched their Phantom. We'll get that last card out of their hand. It's another Phantom. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If we drain for 2, that's 11. We attack for Treetop, that's lethal. So let's do that. Kill your thing, drain you for 2. We could also eat a zombie instead of attacking with Treetop. Okay, that's game. Alright, good game. Good game. 1 against Blue-White Spirits. We had a really nice curve out there. Shows you how powerful Bob can be, even against an aggro deck if they're not really aggroing us out. Like there they had some value stuff, some tempo stuff, but I think taking the Ether Vial there was definitely correct, because it prevented them from being able to really put us... to flood the board, I should say, you know? So against Blue-White Spirits, a little different from Bant Spirits, I guess, namely because we don't really want Grafdigger's Cage, whereas we probably do with most BGX builds, or with most Rock builds anyway, against Bant. So, like I said, I don't think this is a choke matchup despite being a heavily blue deck. But Pulse, EE, Damnation, Liliana's Triumph is pretty nice, and Edict against the hexproof stuff is good in Windows. And Deathmark, Collective Brutality, all these cards are very playable. So, what does our deck want to do if we bring in those? Well, I think Thought Seizes are a liability. I think we can trim a Bob on the draw, a Lily on the draw. Then what? Then what? Well, the rest of our deck is quite decent. But let's definitely cut those 4. Now, the big question we have to ask ourselves is what the balance is between disruption and life total and board presence and versus kill spells. I think this remaining Thoughtseize is better on the draw than it is on the play, but I still might cut it. Other option would be to cut a Tireless Tracker. Maybe that's just what we do. Or we could go all the way down to 2 Lilianas, but I think Lily's pretty sweet here, so I kind of like this, and we might just stay the same if there's a game 3 and we're on the play, but I think this is a nice hedged list. Yeah, cool, I'm happy. Let's do it. Alright, our hand is a keep. 2 Fatal Pushes and an Scavenging Ooze, and the opponent mulls. Good news. Definite keep. You know, obviously our hand's a little awkward in a lot of ways, but Treetop Village is a good late game card in this matchup, and of course we're just leaning on the power of Scooze and Push. So, ooh, and Inquisition. Don't mind if I do. What a good draw. What a good draw, my friends. Okay, so they've got lands, Copter, Path to Exile. I don't know. I mean, I don't really care about either of those cards, but I guess we're taking Path because we've got pushes for Copter. Alternatively, we can just completely run them out of creatures and then still have Fatal Push backup. Like, the first path is never that bad for us. We've got manlands. So sure, I'm actually going to take the Copter. A few reasons for that. The things I just said, plus there is actually a world in which they can, like, loot into value with Moorland Haunt, and it also just gives them a really efficient turn this turn. They just play a land, play the Copter. Alright, so Treetop pass to you. Swamp is not a great draw, but at least we have double black now, in case that comes up. But we can fix our mana with Field anyway, and I think we're gonna want to hit that Moorland Haunt for sure. Ooh, or that Mutavault. Alright. Maelstrom Pulse is a fine draw, but it's just Field of Ruin pass. I guess Mutavaults or Moorland Haunt is kind of interesting. Like, which one we want to hit more, which one we really need to hit more. We're also now at the stage where we could get blown out by, like, a Rattlechains from the Vial. So I think I'm just going to end step hit the Haunt. Just get rid of that. I guess we've got double black, so let's get Forest. Inquisition, nice draw. Worst case scenario, we get to take away Path, but they have Drogskull Captain. Alright. I think we're still priced into taking the Captain because the Drogskull lock is a way we can actually lose this game. Then we'll pass. You know, thought about attacking with the treetop there, thought about playing out the treetop there, but I think we want to... be conservative here. I'm going to go for the block. Even if this becomes a trade, if they violin a lord, I'm pretty fine with that. Or just the path, which was the other thing I was trying to draw out and thought we might have drawn out last turn by attacking, but I think this was a better chance of doing so, and indeed we did. So that's pretty fine, especially because we draw a Goyf. So Goyf is a better play than Skoos here because we can't activate Skoos. And now hopefully we're free and clear to just beat face with this Goyf with a whole handful of gas. Opponent's going to leave that vial at 3 all game. If they don't, something very strange is going on. Alright, so we're not going to Fatal Push here because they could violin a Lord and blow us out. Let's untap and see what we draw. Lily the Last Hope. Sure. Alright, so playing the Last Hope here is actually kind of fine. The big... It's not very mana efficient, though. We can only hold up 1 push that way. So I'm actually just going to play Skoos here. We're ahead. We'll just be patient. Sure, we take 1, no big deal. And end step, we will spread out the damage a little bit. Gain that life back. Dark Confidant, sure. So we're not being very mana efficient, but the onus really is on the opponent to find an answer. I'm gonna play Bob. Alright, so they're vialing in something. I think now's our cue to push. They could have a Spell Queller to hardcast from hand. They don't. Sweet. And they choose not to. Okay. Cool. And that's game. Alright, well, you know, pretty easy games. Nothing against the opponent, nothing that they did wrong. But our card quality shone through. They were a little bit flooded both games, and they don't have the catch-up power of Bant Spirits with Collected Company. Not only the catch-up power, but the combat step blowout power. Now, having said that, I actually really like Blue-White Spirits. I think it's a lot cleaner, a lot less clunky than the Bant deck. Less easily disrupted in some ways, but it does not have the grinding power. And we saw that there. And we had nice curve outs both games. Could have taken a couple different lines in the second game. We could have played out our Lily the Last Hope more aggressively. We could have, like, Maelstrom pulsed the Ether Vial aggressively, you know, just to get fewer tricks available. But, you know, once they take up to 3, there's no more risk of at least some things. There's no more Selfless Spirit. They still have the natural flash of Rattle Chains. You know, there's a lot to play around with spirits, but we got there. So good. Good stuff. And what do we think about this hand? Well, I think it's a keep. I mean, we just need to hit the 3rd land, and we are absolutely off to the races. So it's a keep on the play. Acknowledging the risk Opponent goes down to 6. And opponent will mull to the scry to the bottom. So, Inquisition. It's another Thalia deck, and this time it's humans. So, Thalia, Reflector Mage, Meddling Mage, Kitesail Freebooter, huh? I think we have to take the Freebooter here and where you can push whatever their turn 2 play is. Hopefully. Those are all good cards. The Thalia is especially annoying, but I'm happy to push her if that's what it comes down to. Okay, Thoughtseize is a fine draw. I really just kind of wanted a third land, to be honest, but we could still top deck it. And now I am going to take... This is actually pretty tough. Because if they play... I think I have to take Meddling Mage, because we were just going to push the Thalia. We don't want to get locked out by Meddling Mages, like they draw more, and then, you know, it gets very bad from there, right? Okay, so now we can't play the Lily even if we draw an untapped land due to the Thalia, which we do, but that's fine. So what I'm going to do here, I think, is take the damage, take the 2, and then end step push, because we don't want them to have another Thalia. What do they have now? Mayor of Avabrook. Okay. Well, I mean, they can't cast another Thalia now, so I guess we're pretty safe to push her. Before we take the 3, we also have more incentive to do so, of course, because she's a little bigger. So they've got Reflector and 1 Unknown in hand, I believe. And we're about to live the dream, my friends. We're about to live the dream of Liliana the Last Hope ticking up to kill on an empty board. Sadly, we cannot get the Kalitas down first, but we're definitely not supposed to because they have Reflector in there. We just take the clean kill while we can. And their Reflector is awkward in hand for as long as this board state persists. Blooming Marsh. Alright, well, I think we just play the Lily and tick her up and pitch our Marsh. Still hang on to the Kalitas, force them to run out the Reflector into no value. Then we'll play the Kalitas. Okay, they just had a land to pitch for them, which is at least nice for them that they're not losing any gas, but they need, like, Mantis Rider's stat. They're up against Liliana Tribal, champion into Reflector. I mean, yeah, they get to have a decent turn, but we get to go Kalitas into our Liliana activation, so that's pretty good too. Alright, Dark Confidant, sure, but it's for sure Kalitas time. So we want to Edict first here, so we can tick up on whatever one they choose to keep around, which should be the champion. Okay, maybe not. The Reflector is technically bigger right now, but that doesn't matter. And the champion has the potential to get bigger. So I expected them to keep the champion, but it literally does not matter. The game is just over, so... Wow, okay. Okay, another really nice curve out against an Ether Vial deck. Our siding will be similar here. Without question, we want a lot of the same cards. We don't want a lot of the same cards. In fact, it might be exactly the same. Pulse EE Triumph, Damnation, Deathmark, and a second Collective Brutality. And we cut a Lily, we cut a Bob on the draw. We might cut more, but first let's get our worst cards out. I think Thoughtseize is more of a clear cut. All 3 are more of a clear cut against humans than it is against spirits. So we'll cut all 3 Thoughtseizes. And on the draw, probably think Bob is the biggest liability relative to Liliana. I don't mind cutting one of each, but we don't have anything else that's great to bring in. So we'll just leave 3 Lilianas of the Veil in. I think that's fine. Submit deck. Opponent's starting us off with another Maul. We'll keep. Our hand has Fatal Push, and it functions, therefore it's a pretty good hand, honestly. We've got threats as well. Not necessarily the very best hand beyond that, you know. Double Scoos, yeah, that's okay. It's a little clunky sometimes. At least one Scoos is awesome. Anyway, they go Ether Vial into Cavern, and we draw another Fatal Push. Beautiful. Alright, so playing Swamp and saying go kind of telegraphs that we have Fatal Push, but I don't think it's really going to change their sequencing at all. And I think it's better to do so because if we are going to push on the end step, we don't want to have to fetch and shock. And I think we are supposed to get a dual land with this Verdant Catacombs because we need double black and we need double green for our Scavenging Oozes. So they've got Champion into something. We're going to probably push the Champion. Another Champion. Okay. Well, big part of me is tempted to take my draw step and see whether I can draw Pulse or EE, but on the draw we don't really have that luxury, so we just take our kill. Plus we have all these 2 drops to play, right? So let's run out of Tarmogoyf. Pass the turn. They could start tempoing us out here maybe with Reflector and grow the Champion, but they're already really low on resources compared to us. Our stuff scales more. Tarmogoyf gets bigger as the game goes on. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, if they have Thalia's Lieutenant, this is, that's bad for us. You know, we die on the block, basically, so we won't take the block. Or Mayor of Averbrook, so would have been a spicy bluff attack from the opponent, but that's not what it was. They actually had it. All right. So the big question here is, do we want to just, like, go removal, attack? I kind of think we do. Problem with that is we have to fetch and shock, but we kind of have to fetch and shock no matter what we're doing here, I think, and I think it's going to be worth it. So, yeah, let's do that. I guess we could just pass. With Trophy up because it doesn't grow the Goyf. Opponent drawing 2 Ether Vials is good for us, of course. And of course the fact that we fetched and shocked gives away that we've got something, but wasn't. I was just kind of assuming something along the lines there would grow the Goyf. Whatever, we'll Trophy now. I don't think any 1-drop matters, but in case it does. If they had a Vial on 2, I would absolutely Trophy in response in case of Thalia taxing us out of a play, but we'll just do it now. It's just a Noble Hierarch, sure. So they got 1 card in hand. No Mantis Rider, that's really what we care about. Let's get in with our Goyf. So, Scoos is the safer play, but I think it's safe enough to play Tracker that we should. This is just so completely mana efficient, it's unbelievable. Okay, this might be a Reflector Mage. Deputy of Detention. Sure. Alright, so we crack our Fetch and Response, make another clue. It's a good last card for them to have, but it's not a very threatening board presence. So, you know, they would need to chain, like, Reflectors and Mantis Riders together from here, basically, I think, to get us. And we do have double Scoos, so we're in good shape. Double Clue as well, of course. Well, they got something. Whirler Rogue. Oh, boy, that's some spice, and that actually is a nice value play. Alright, so... I am going to attack with Tarmogoyf here. If they want to mob block, that's pretty fine with me. So, tap 2 on artifacts, target creature can't be blocked this turn, so they can get one creature through. So, I think it's still just better for us to just play 2 threats. Actually, maybe not. Maybe we have to start respecting the life totals, so why don't we play Scoos and say go? That way we can activate or we can crack a clue on the end step, and we are also bluffing removal. And the Scoo still walls off the ground attackers sufficiently, as well as they can be walled off, right? They have Flying plus Exalted, or they have the Whirler Rogue unblockable ability plus Exalted. They've got a 2-drop as well. Interesting. Is this maybe a freebooter to clear the way? Phantasmal Image. Oh boy. That's a good one. Alright, so... if we let that happen, we're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this turn. I don't think gaining the life matters that much, so sure, we're just going to end step crack a clue. I think we need to find action rather than just gain 2 life for something we're going to lose. That's a nice rip for the opponent, though. Phantasmal Image is definitely a sweet one. Alright, we drew Deathmark. That's good. And we drew a land. Alright, so we Deathmark the Deputy, we get our tracker back, and make a land drop. Then we can play a different Scoos. That's probably better than... yeah, I like that. And we are priced into playing defense now, make no mistake. Well, then again, the extra blockers don't... I think we still actually get in with the Goyf. Because my 3-2 and my 3-3 wall off their stuff, you know, well enough. Just trading back with this damage is pretty sweet. Now, we have to hope they don't have yet another Deputy of Detention or Reflector Mage style effect. It's very unlikely statistically that they do, and we can't necessarily play around it anyway. Well, they got a 3-drop to Violin. That's a little frightening. Another Deputy! What? Okay, now we just have to gain a life, I think. That's crazy. Man, that's crazy. Now the Whirler Rogue making things unblockable is a bit more of a problem, but now just their regular, any form of attack is still a problem. They've got the Thopters chipping in, or just, again, something Exalted being made unblockable. Either way, they can do it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the parade of deputies and images for deputies has been bad. We're still not out of it by any means, but now we've just been steadily going from a very commanding position to a more on the knife's edge position. Now, note again that I don't think leaving the Tarmogoyf back changes much here. Like, if they want, they can attack with the Rogue and the Thopters and just, like, go wide-ish. Then we have to trade away the Tracker, but I think trading away the Tracker is definitely fine here. They're not giving us the chance, they're just going in for 3 unblockable. So, you got it. Alright, I mean, we've lost both our Scoozes, which is tough. And we draw a Treetop Village, that's not very good. Let's crack a clue. Alright. We've got so many live draws. Inquisition is definitely not one of them. Yikes. Alright, so if we attack... Let's say we attack with the Goyf, they don't block. On the crackback, they can either do another 3 to us with the Whirler Rogue unblockable, or they can go... just turn everything sideways. We block... Let's say we play the Goyf, we block Goyf and Tracker. We're only taking... I think we're only taking 3 either way. So I guess that's just kind of better odds than just cracking another clue and hoping to draw Fatal Push is basically what we'd... Or, yeah, even Maelstrom Pulse and other higher-end stuff doesn't do it right now, so... let's make sure our math is correct. So, let's say, again, we attack with Goyf, they don't block. On the crackback, you know, if they top deck Reflector, Mantis Rider, or something, there's nothing we can do about that. So, on the crackback, they can either do 3 unblocked with the Rogue, like they did last turn, or they can attack for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we can block 3 of it. Yeah, we're taking 3 either way. So... it is time to turn the Tarmogoyf sideways. I mean, it's still a real threat to them. There's no getting around that. Alright, they choose to just let it through. This Inquisition was a rough draw here. And their deputies have been rough. They really have been. And they've gassed out so well, they're still only on 3 land. They didn't need the 4th for the Rogue? Wait, how'd they get the Rogue in play? Whatever, I'll see that when I look back, I guess. Let's hope they just drew a brick here, though. That would be nice. Treetop was an interesting draw. It kind of stinks because we can't hold up Clue this way, but it could become relevant next turn. Really all depends on what they have and what they do. This is sketchy, my friends. It's very sketchy. We need to hit more removal, I do believe, in order to make it out of this game alive. Now, they are at 3, so they have to block every single attack that we make if we're attacking next turn. This is intense. This is intense. So, I have to imagine if the opponent had one of the scary top decks, they would have already played it by now. I think most of the lines would be pretty straightforward there with stuff like Image for Deputy, or Mantis Rider, or Reflector Mage. So, my hope is that they drew a brick, or that they, yeah, hopefully just a brick, but maybe something that doesn't change the math this turn anyway. Another Noble Hierarch would actually be even a bit of a problem, just because Exalted is becoming so relevant, but maybe that doesn't really change much. Like, we're taking 3 this turn, and then 2 or 3 next turn if we can't do anything about it, so I guess another Exalted trigger just doesn't change it. Well, oh well, opponent, what's it gonna be? Don't keep us in suspense for too long, my friend. Some good old classic basic land choices from the opponent. Always happy to see that. Fellow classic land player with my onslaughts here. Although we do have some pretty spicy full art snowlands in the set. Alright, they go for the no block on Rogue. And they use their vials to do so. Yep, nothing we can do about it. And they're just leaving everything else back, huh? So no instant speed anything with the vials. Engineered explosives. Okay, there we go. So, I mean, we just EE away the Thopter tokens and swing for lethal, right? Including, obviously, firing up Treetop Village. I think that should work. Again, I don't think they have anything at instant speed to do, so let's do that. We're going to lose our own clues, so in case anything goes wrong, is there any way we can sequence around that? Not really. Let's just do it. EE for 0, please. Kill your tokens. Rally the Ape Village to the cause. Alright. Do we have it? You don't play Path to Exile, do you? You know, hey, maybe we should have checked first with Inquisition, actually. We did have the mana for that. And Inquisition's not doing anything else anyway, but it's humans. 5-color humans, they don't play Path. We got there. Alright, my friends. I love that. I absolutely love that we got there, despite the opponent ripping a lot of really dangerous stuff in the mid to late game. I think the Tarmogoyf attacks were absolutely crucial to our victory. Like, it could have been tempting to just get a little bit overwhelmed by all the decision points and just say, well, you know, we just don't want to get aggroed out, let's just play cautiously. But if you really looked at the board, like, our stuff was just outsizing theirs for the whole game, really. So an extra Tarmogoyf hanging back doesn't really do anything, because they were chipping in with evasion, not with, you know, they weren't outsizing us. So, like, there were actually a couple times they could have mob blocked the Tarmogoyf and killed it, at least one time. And that would be fine with me, of course, because I like to keep the board as clear as possible. But I think it was correct for them not to do it. And I think that's what won us the game. The Goyf chips putting them in exactly lethal. So that was fun. That was a fun one. Let's play first, and we'll keep. The mana continues to be awkward, but as you can see, the manlands are worth it as a payoff. I think I lead on Treetop here. Resolving Bob on turn 2 seems really nice. There are obviously decks against which that is bad, and this might be Burn. This might be, well, Stomping Ground. Okay. Goblin Guide. Alright. I mean, Bob isn't exactly good here. Alright. So we'll pass. We're gonna push that Goblin Guide. And, ooh, another one. Scary start. Alright, Guide, show us some lands. 2 lands, beautiful. Alright, we'll take it. That is so good. Push a Goblin Guide, then we'll take 2. And the opponent is on a 1-lander, so this can work to our advantage. The bad news is we don't really have anything great to do with our hand. Like, it's all very bad against Burn. It's all very bad against Burn. So I actually think it might be, well, I mean, even Trophy's bad, because ramping them is not good. But we're going to cast a Thoughtseize. See exactly what we're up against. How I dearly wish you were an Inquisition. Alright, they have too many good 2-drops. We can't, we can't trophy anything until they hit a second land on their own. So what we're going to do is take their other creature. And then play a Dark Confidant and just try to trade off with the Goblin Guide. They don't have Searing Blaze in hand, that's the good news. So even if they draw a second land, they can't, like, get rid of the Bob at no cost to themselves, and I'm so happy to trade with the Goblin Guide here. Alright, there's the second land, that's annoying. Right after we kind of sequenced around them not having it, but I guess it's a little overdue. And they're just spiking us. And skewering us. And then probably not even attacking. Yep. Alright, Bob. Painless, please. Good job, Bob. Good job. Okay. So the problem is we still have a Dark Confidant on this battlefield. It's definitely not good. I don't think we're going to win this one. So we have to play land here because we've got to trophy away the Goblin Guide before the Eidolon is on the field. Otherwise, we're just never casting a spell to get rid of the guide. It's giving us all the value we ever need, but ramping them is pretty annoying here. We're just at such a low life total now, and we have the Bob. And no foul. Okay, no Eidolon. That's an interesting call. Yeah, flipping the Goyf. Not great. So we are just dead. But we'll play it out, make them see the line of bolt you, command you. I'm sure they will. I have faith. And I guess what we should do is put lethal on the field, right? Good game. Alright, tough game one against Burn. We got all the Goblin Guide value. Didn't matter. Our progression was too painful. And our cards were too bad against Burn. It's a fine matchup, but a good matchup even, but the game ones can look a little gruesome sometimes. But let's see with our current configuration if we can get all 7 of these life loss cards out. In order to facilitate that, we will be considering Fulminator, EE Pulse, obviously Collective Brutality. I think Liliana's Triumph is fine. And that's probably it. So, again, pretty poor against Burn with this configuration, but Burn's been on the downswing, and I think our natural matchup against it is fine enough that it's probably correct to do so, and I think a lot of the cards that are specifically good against Burn are not that great in the broad meta right now. Duress might be the card I'm considering as an exception to that, but we're not playing with it here. Yeah, hand's fine. We draw a third land, and it's great. I mean, it's still honestly pretty great. We do have Inquisition and Collective Brutality and Painless Land. It's just, once again, clunky mana base, but alright, so the opponent mulligan to 6, scry to the bottom, so they're looking for a second land. It's just all the stuff. I think we're going to take an Eidolon here. It's either Eidolon or Lava Spike, but I'll take an Eidolon. We can play around Atarka's Command and Searing Blaze now that we know about them a lot better. So, Foundry, Spike us, yep. Alright, another trophy, not great. So this is Naya Burn for the record. They got the second land. Well, it's fine because we have the brutality. And we're going to need to escalate all 3 times because our hand is so clunky. So, kill your thing, take a spell, drain you for 2. We lose 2 as we play it, but whatever. I guess we're pitching... I don't know. Probably just Trophy Impulse. I guess we just keep our threats in hand such as they are, but we need a 3rd land to cast any of them, but I don't really see multiple trophies being amazing here, so... well... Nah, maybe we pitch a Fulminator and a Pulse. We just don't want to die to our own clunky hand and lack of lands, right? So... what do we take here? I think I might actually take the Searing Blaze. Nah, you know what? Let's take a Tarka's Command. If we draw more discard, we can get the Searing Blaze out of their hand before it matters, whereas Command, they can just hit us in the face in response. They got another Eidolon? Whoa. Whoa. Okay. So... they held the land. Okay. Yeah, I think we're just going to pretty much trophy away that Eidolon. 3rd land is a fine draw for us. We cannot, of course, fire up the treetop because they've got Searing Blaze. And so now Fulminator's looking a little bit poor, but of course it's still like a threat that we can sack for value, I guess, and we can take them off of one of their splash colors, at least temporarily. It's not great, but... and I don't even know if we're going to play it out and do a known Searing Blaze. Probably not. I think we just say go. Okay, they're thinning out on the end step. Tempting to trophy that, but I don't think I'm supposed to. Figured they did have another land anyway, otherwise they probably would have just left that uncorrect. Alright, another land, not the best, but... I think we just be patient here. Like, playing the Fulminator just gives them a free Searing Blaze target. And without us playing a creature, that card is dead in hand. On the other hand, you know, we could, in theory, be attacking with the treetop this whole time if we had already drawn it out. So, geez, they just keep ripping fetch lands, which is kind of good for us and bad for us at the same time, if you know what I mean. Discard, woohoo. That's what we wanted. That's just what we wanted. Alright. They've got yet another land in hand. It's good for us, man. It's good for us. We're going to use this as a Grey Ogre. For sure, because it doesn't take them off of a color. It blocks Goblin Guide, blocks Swifty. And we draw Field of Ruin, sure. Time to get the beats on. So under other circumstances, it might be nice to sandbag the field for collective brutality, for concealing information. But here, because we do have Trophy as an option... Whoa, 2 creatures. Alright, we can beat this. We're going to let the guide trigger resolve. It's a tireless tracker. That's another reason to sandbag that. so we're going to trophy the guide. It's just more mana efficient. Next turn we go hit for 2, play the tracker, hold up Fatal Push. So we're in fine shape here. We should really close out this game. They're sandbagging that Copperline Gorge in case they draw another Searing Blaze, but they don't. That would have been the beginning of what they needed for an out. We, of course, have the Fatal Push as our final card in hand. So I think we had most bases covered. We had the inevitability from Treetop Village of the clock. Of course, they can bolt that, but this stage of the game is pretty good inevitability. Now, my friends, what do we like here on the draw? This is the tough one. Any changes? I just don't think our 75 allows for any. Like, these cards just are very, very bad against Burn. So, once more into the breach we go. This is a big game. Big game here. Let's do it. Opponent will keep 7. As will we. Hand is fine. It doesn't have really any of our, like, game-winning cards, but then again, we don't have that many. It's just kind of collective brutality, and it has turn 1 removal, which is really important. And the Goblin Guide, giving us value. What a guy, what a guy. So, it's a little awkward here because we actually are going to have to discard to hand size. And I think that's fine. I think I'd rather have the extra guide trigger. We get punished for that, though, if they go turn 2 Eidolon. Then we'll be pushing the guide before we even get the trigger. So maybe this is just like the guaranteed keeping the most value in hand play. To push it now so we don't have to discard to hand size. It's a minor margins call, but it's one that's worth thinking about, I suppose. Opponent kept another 1-lander. And we have turn 2 Tarmogoyf that is immune to Searing Blaze if we fetch. So against a mana-screwed opponent, that's better than deciding what basic to get. We'll get Swamp for now. That's better than trophying the Swifty, that's for sure. We've got Kalitas in hand, so we just need to not get absolutely run over here. Ooh, they've got a Relic. Okay. Interesting. But still only 1 land, hopefully. Alright. I will get rid of, I guess, Verdant Catacombs, because we're going to probably crack another one next turn and just fulminate their only land. Seems pretty good. Yeah, I believe that's the play. Well, that seems pretty good. Oh no, they immediately draw land. Alright, so we're actually pretty punished for this, for attacking. Like, the super conservative line would have been to hold back the Goyf in case they get a land, but they can always just crack the Relic anyway, right? So, alright. Field of Ruin is a fine draw, because it means we get to play Kalitas painlessly, so let's attack first, see if they want to crack that Relic to avoid any damage. They're going to get rid of their own Goblin Guide. Okay, that's good against a future Skooz, I guess. They just going to crack Relic right now, maybe? Yeah, okay. Sure. It's Kalidas time. Alright. Well, opponent got their third land now. I think we're taking a block on the Swifty if it attacks. They might be priced into like 3-for-1ing themselves to get rid of Kalidas. But given our hand, I think we may be supposed to. Because they could just like get a Path to Exile at some point. Then again, maybe not just because we have so much removal in hand, so I'm going to take the hit. Feels a little loose. I feel like you mostly always just take the guaranteed value of, like, lifelink for 3, kill their thing, force them to point burn at the creatures, but... So they only hit us for 1. They could be holding up, like, Skullcracker or a Tarkus command to prevent some lifelink as well. I would love if they tapped out for an Eidolon here, even though Eidolon's really good. Just so I know exactly what I'm playing around and what I'm not playing around. Rift Bolt suspended. That's it. Okay. Nothing to worry about, friends. Nothing at all to worry about. So I think we're just taking our kill here, grow the Goyfated. And now we've got this convenient zombie to block any goblin guides or whatever they rip off the top next turn, so we can freely just get in for as much damage and life gain as possible here. And sadly our hand remains clunky, but that swing there should be enough to close out the game, because we just have gas on field, gas in hand, right? Goyf is back up to a respectable 2-3. But Goyf is the least of their problems. It's the Traitor of Get is the big issue for our opponent. They're just bolting face. Sure. We do have lethal on board, even if the Goyf doesn't grow. Just firing up Treetop is lethal. Don't know that that's going to be our play, but it really might be. Right now we could, even if we don't draw anything else, fire up Treetop, play Tomb, hold up Trophy, attack with everything. Okay, so never mind, we're not going to have lethal next turn, but they are going to have to point 2 burn spells at Kalidas. So that's a real win for us. Especially because he already gained 3 life, did 3 damage, made a zombie, etc. They Lava Spike us, Skewer Kalidas. I mean, it's a good turn for them, don't get me wrong. But, well, we just got lethal on board anyway, don't we? Because the Goyf is a little bit bigger now. And that's going to do it. Okay, good game, well played, and look at that, my friends. We came back. We came back against Burn. Thank you, Kalidas. Thank you, Kalidas, and thank you, Tarmogoyf. 2 wonderful, wonderful cards against Burn. And that's what I mean, guys. Like, obviously there's nothing at all wrong with dedicating, like, another slot or 2 to Burn relative to what I'm doing. But like I said, Collective Brutality and Kitchen Finks right now, I don't know that they're in the best spots, even though they're both good cards in our deck. And you know, Duress might be in a better spot, but Duress is, I think, worse against Burn than those other cards. Like, Discard is wonderful, especially Painless Discard, but really, I don't know. I think just the life gain cards are a little bit better overall, because they're better at every stage of the game. Like, your discard can whiff depressingly early against Burn, right? So, as good as Duress is, it also can't take away Eidolon, and, you know, even taking away creatures if you're on the play is big game, like the 1-mana creatures. So anyway, long story short, I do believe that, like, it is totally fine to respect Burn more than I am, but I also believe that you don't have to. You just saw how naturally well a lot of stuff in our deck lines up against Burn. The Painless Mana base, the main deck Kalitas, the Tarmogoyfs, the Inquisitions, the couple Collective Brutalities that are kicking around, even a 75 like mine. Treetop Village is nice, and we didn't even see Skooz there. And Skooz is one of the biggest all-stars in the entire deck against Burn. This hand is mono threats, which is pretty poor, but it's still a keep in game 1. We don't want to risk mulling to a non-functional 6. We don't even know what we need that's better than just playing like Bobs and Goyfs and Trackers out and seeing what happens, so we keep. Minamo School at Water's Edge, Ether Vial. This looks like Merfolk. Looks like Merfolk, another Ether Vial deck. So do we Bob or do we Decay the Vial? Decay was an incredible draw, by the way. I think we Bob because we're on the play. Next turn we can Decay the Vial before they get too much value out of it, if we want to. We just gotta let Bob run away with this game. That's the plan. Stay ahead of them. If the opponent's got a Spreading Seas, that'll be annoying, but they don't. Or at least they chose not to play it. Inquisition would be a nice draw. Thoughtseize? I guess I'll take it. I mean, I hate the life loss in this matchup, I really do, but why don't we play out a land to play around Spell Pierce? I believe that's correct. And then we'll Thoughtseize. They know about the Thoughtseize as well, so they're going to deprive. Well, it's pretty okay with me. So now I am going to decay their Ether Vial and then just pass. Well, no, we don't have to just pass, of course. If they're going to vial in something, they're going to do it now. Yep. Okay, so no trade with the Benthic Biomancer. We just pass. Bobby's too valuable at the moment. I felt obligated to fetch and shock there in case of Spreading Seas. I don't want to lose access to green entirely. And now it gives them a decision. Do they hit the man land? Do they hit the dual land? I hate Spreading Seas, but at least we're a two-color deck. Spreading Seas is an absolute nightmare to play against if you're on Jund or Abzan. I think on those, I'm no expert on those other variants, but I think you kind of have to leave in just about all of your discard, even though I don't think it's correct to leave it all in against Merfolk, if you can help it. But just to stop yourself from getting seized out of the game. Or maybe you just accept that as a, you know, that's just an acceptable risk, I don't know. Post-combat adapt. That's a little loose. They should have just gotten the damage in, obviously, but that's okay. They probably didn't quite see it. So they pitched another Vial. We draw Collective Brutality. And you know what? I think I'm pretty fine with just getting a clean kill here. And I am going to pitch another Bob. We'll escalate here. So, kill your thing, drain you for 2. It's too likely to whiff if I go for the discard mode. Obviously, they're playing Deprive. They could have another one in hand. They could have Spell Pierce, whatever. I still think it's correct to Drain instead of peek at the hand here. And we get to chip in for 2. Good job, Bob. Keeping us flush with resources. That's the idea. Now they can bounce him now that he's tapped if they have a Harbinger of Tides. They don't, they just have Marrow, Regere. Sure. Alright, let's draw Liliana of the Veil. We didn't. And we don't have the ability to push. Regere is a high value permanent, so I'm actually going to offer the trade now with Bob. Okay, opponent doesn't take it as expected, so we obviously have to kill the Regere. It's unfortunate that we haven't found another land or any way to enable a revolt, so we have to ramp them, but that's okay. It'll be Goyf into Trophy. And that's just the correct sequencing in case they play... I'm sure they don't. It's very uncommon in Merfolk to play like a Spell Snare, but in case they do, we make the Trophy our last play of the turn. Alright, we're in a good spot, but we're definitely not out of the woods yet. Merfolk's got a lot of tricks, and they can blow out our Tarmogoyf really hard with Merfolk Trickster, which reduces it to a 0-1 until end of turn with its ETB ability. So basically it's a kill spell for an attacking or a blocking Goyf. On a 2-2 flash body in Tribe. It's very bad for us. Looks like we don't have to worry about it this time because they're tapping out Adept into Spreading Seas into Fairy Conclave. Becomes a 2-1 blue flyer. Ooh, we rip Maelstrom Pulse. That's pretty painful. But might still be good enough. It's definitely gonna do something here. I still think we attack, offer trades, or encourage them to chump block. I think that's fine. They're jumping. Good. Now we get to go Tracker into land and hold up Fatal Push, or just play another Tarmogoyf, honestly. I think we just play a Goyf. They need a lot more Merfolk Tricksters now than they did a little turn ago. So we just have to not get cheesed out of the game now, like lose to massive Bob triggers plus, like, you know, the cheese, the Merfolk cheese, chipping in with a Fairy Conclave or Island Walk or something. Just gotta not get cheesed out of the game, but I don't think we will with double removal spell in hand. Yeah, the opponent's finding a lot of 2-for-1s, though. The Seize, the double Adept. It's all pretty good, but they are under a lot of pressure right now. Harbinger of the Tides bouncing probably Goyf. Yep. And then a Benthic Biomancer. Sure. Alright. Cool. No damage and double clue action here. So let's make our clues. And I think we're gonna just use a Maelstrom Pulse here, because it's one of our clunkier cards. Kill their biggest thing, which is the 2-2. You could also make an argument for just killing the 1-1 before it gets to adapt, but this is fine as well. And once again, we don't mind any trades that happen. We don't mind any chump blocks that happen. It's all good for us. If they don't take any blocks at all, I'm probably just going to Fatal Push. Or maybe I even Field of Ruin, then Fatal Push before they untap. We'll see. We'll see what they do. Jumping. Alright, cool. Kind of a tough... I think I'm just going to play another Tarmogoyf here, hold up push. The Silvergill Adept just simply does not really matter as a blocker unless they go like Lord, 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 and then we can just push it because they won't have counter magic as a blocker or an attacker, I should say. Alright, we're living the rock dream, we're curving out, we've got all the value pieces, we've got the opponent on the ropes. Alright, no need to force the Fatal Push there at the end step, we'll just untap and draw. Alright, lots of stuff. So we can go, these two pay for trophy, this pays for push. We cannot actually cast Liliana this turn and those things because we don't have 4 black mana. So if we go field, we get a black mana. Yeah, okay. Let's just attack, see what the opponent does. They might have Cryptic Command. That's in vogue in Merfolk decks right now. Apparently not. I think they kind of would have to tap down and draw if they did. They probably have Merfolk Trickster now, or, maybe a instant speed Harbinger of the Tides. Alright. Yep, so there goes one Goyf down to a 0-1. Alright, so we let blocks happen, I think. Another one. Yeah, okay, that's annoying. I think we still just see what the opponent does here, because we can push things after the block if they're on the Goyf, because we're not dealing damage anyway. And if they make any trades over here with Tracker and Bob, I'm totally fine with that, especially with Bob. Alright, so pretty free clue crack here. To grow the tracker up out of range where that is a trade. Another Goyf is the draw. Alright, let's push one of these. And then I think we're just going to trophy another, because I don't think there's any way we lose if we just don't take damage next turn, except maybe from a Fairy Conclave. So we're just casting all of our removal here. So the only way we lose from here is if they have just, like, Lord in hand. And then we also probably need to take damage from our Bob. No, I mean, we don't. Never mind. Their whole board's dead. Sorry, for some reason, for a second I was thinking the Adept was still alive. They do have a Lord, but that will be insufficient to save you, my friend. Okay, let's make a clue. We're going to hit your Conclave with a Field of Ruin. He'll float, sure. We're just getting black mana here at this point. Doesn't matter. Alright, let's see if they have a cryptic command. Only one card in hand. I mean, they're very, very dead on board if they don't. They do. Alright. Let's try Lily the Last Hope. See if we can just shrink that Lord. And then we just play yet another Tarmogoyf. I mean, the longer the game goes on, the more nervous I get because of Bob triggers, but there just should simply be no way that they actually get there through this. They need to chain cryptics, basically. And that's just very unlikely, but you never know. Okay, that's game. Well, they really made us earn it. Good game, well played opponent, but we did get there against Merfolk. Mono blue Merfolk. So, feels good. Looks like a choke matchup, unlike some of the other blue decks we've seen today. I think we are going to want the choke. Otherwise, most of these cards that are otherwise good are still good here, besides Deathmark. So it's kind of the same sideboarding we do against humans and spirits, except instead of Deathmark, we play a choke, because Deathmark doesn't do anything. Otherwise, the same principles apply. And I also still don't really like Thoughtseize in this matchup. It's more like spirits, where like cutting 2 is ideal and the 3rd is probable, rather than humans, where you just cut all 3. But minor differences. Again, we trim a Bob. Again, we trim a Lily. Let's just bring all 6 of these in. And I actually like cutting a Tarmogoyf against Merfolk because it can just get blown out by the Trickster. It's just arguably our worst threat against them, right? And, you know, if I'm going to keep a Thoughtseize, it should be here on the draw. So, is there any argument for cutting anything else? I mean, maybe we could go down another Lily on the draw. Let's try it that way. Let's try keeping a Thoughtseize on the draw. When we go on the play for Game 3, if there is one, which I hope there's not, we will bring back a Liliana and cut this Thoughtseize. But let's just try to win Game 2 here, and then we will be on to the final round. But first we've got to win the Game 2, so let's make it happen. Opponent's going to mull to 6. Our hand is fantastic. We will keep. I love having fetch lands on the draw against Merfolk because it lets us play around Spreading Seas. We've got some, Fatal Push is one of our best cards. Engineered Explosives is really one of our best cards, and Tireless Tracker is okay, but in this hand he's pretty awesome, so I'm happy. And the opponent mulliganed to 6, which is even better, and they scry to the bottom as well. No turn 1 Vial. But there is a turn 2 Vial. Interesting. So there are some progressions in which you'd want to just play fetch land, and keep passing. I don't think this is one of them, because we've just got a lot of lands. And Tracker to dig us out of a Seize Lock, if that's the case, if that's what ends up happening to us. And the opponent's on a 1-lander as well, so if they play like another Vial and or a 1-drop creature, I am pretty interested in EE on 1 next turn and cracking it immediately. Alright, I mean, I think that's what we're supposed to do, especially because we just keep drawing lands, so yeah, let's try to, let's just trade with the Vial, basically. Obviously, EE has a much higher upside in this matchup, but right now the upside is that we're going to trade 1 for 1 while mana screwing them, which is pretty good. So they promptly rip the second land. That's alright, we get to go tracker and make 2 clues next turn. And we have another tracker, sure. The other Overgrown Tomb is in our hand, so it's a little less optimal than it would otherwise be, but we still definitely just make both clues while they're tapped out. And we do get to hold up Fatal Push this way, so that's kind of cool. Alright, so the opponent dug right out of their mana screw with an immediate island into a 2 for 1 into the third land. So we're not going to have a non-game. It is going to be an actual game here for us. And Rejure is a good one, but we can get Revolt next turn and push it. You know, I'm kind of tempted to take this block in all honesty because, like, we just have another tracker in hand. Is that terrible? We can then... Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that, actually. Show you why. We'll take the block. We get Revolt. That's a big part of why. Then next turn we just start the tracker train all over again. Bet our opponent didn't expect us to take that block. I really respect the way Merfolk can turn the corner out of nowhere, so I think that's a good play, but we draw Abrupt Decay. That's a heck of a card in this matchup, no question. However, we cannot hold it up this turn unless we want to shock, and I don't think it's correct to shock. I think it's correct to play the field and just hold up Clue. Alright. We're in a good position. The opponent still got a lot of cards in hand, but they don't have a Vial active. They're not just overrunning us. Thassa, God of the Sea. This is a spicy new one that's seeing a lot of play. 5/5 indestructible, but Devotion to Blue has to be 5, and otherwise it's not a creature. Beginning of the upkeep, scry 1, and can make things unblockable. So sure, you got it. Let's find our choke. No choke. Let's crack a clue. Let's crack another clue. Make another clue and crack another clue, that is. Lily of the Veil's a fine one. This is going to turn on their Harbinger of the Tides if they have one, but that's okay. We still do it. Still attack for 6 while the coast is clear. I think that's definitely clear. I knew it. I knew it. There's the Harby. That's alright. We'll rebuild that tracker. We've got all the lands. I think I'm just cracking Clue on the end step here. They could have counter magic, so, you know, drawing to Inquisition to clear that out of the way. Or we just... So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess we're going to lead on the Tireless Tracker. They will probably counter this if they have a Deprive. If they don't, that's good for us. Yep, okay. Sure, that's fine. We have a Skooz as a threat to rebuild, but more importantly, we have the Liliana of the Veil right now. This is going to be really nice in this window. Blooming Marsh, pass. Alright, so Thassa's a repeated value, but, you know, it's not direct advantage or disadvantage. It's just selection, right? At least for now. Master of the Pearl Trident. Back to us. Alright, we drew another land, so we can freely pitch the tomb in our hand. And we get a Spell Pierce out of their hand. Yep, card's pretty dead at the moment. Yeah, we'll try the Skoos, even though they could have another piece of counter magic. I just think it's pretty much fine, even if they do. We just want to make them have stuff, basically, at this stage of the game. And if they go for, like, another Lord and try to make an attack into the Liliana with Island Walk, well, I guess they'd need an island first, but we've got the Abrupt Decays, we got the trophies. We're good. We're in a really good spot. End step Merfolk Trickster. Tapping down the Skoos. Sure, that'll resolve. But then before we move to your turn, we're going to trophy this. And we're going to trophy because, of course, Decay we can cast next turn through counter magic, right? So no Thassa for you. And, I mean, if they ever get Thassa up and running, she's a big problem against us. Indestructible 5/5. I mean, that's a thing, right? But Lord of Atlantis, sure. So once again, we decay to turn Thassa off, and we'll decay the one that's free to attack. Abrupt Decay can't be countered. I don't know why you're... Oh, okay. Okay, I see. Yeah, just going all in to get Thassa live this turn. Yeah, that's pretty... That's a thing. Of course, we've got more removal where that came from, plus we'll untap with our Ooze, so... Still think we're fine, but... Yeah, Thassa's getting it done. And yeah, she's gotta take care of the Lily, so sure. Nothing we can do, we did everything we could. So it's a good turn for the opponent, but again, our position is still fine. Alright, we draw Forest. Another Liliana, Edict you. And yeah, I guess we're just playing out our land here. Play out our whole hand. Just main phase our removal. And our life total is so high that I actually think it's better to attack with Quagmire. We don't want to sink a bunch of mana into Skoos here and then get it bounced, I guess. Although it would be more damage to put some stuff into Skoos, but I think either way is fine. Probably doesn't matter. Alright, so the opponent's totally at the mercy of their top deck. They choose to leave Mutavault on top. Very interesting against our Field of Ruin. I don't know that I agree with that, but I get it, I guess. And I think we are definitely just ticking up, getting rid of this Damnation here. Get our Lily back on too. We don't want to Damnation away our Skoos. And now we get to do everything. Didn't do the math here, maybe it was better again just to, you know, maybe if I had sunk all mana into Skoos the last two turns, maybe we would have lethal, I don't know, but we're We're just so far ahead, I don't believe it matters. They bottom with Thassa, and, well, they gotta play. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? OP. It's gonna be the scoop. Alright, my friends, we're showing all the Aether Vial decks who's boss. We took down Spirits, Humans, and Merfolk, as far as the meta Aether Vial decks go. And we're 4-0 playing for the 5-0. Absolutely exciting. Very, very cool. Let's play match number 5. We also, of course, took down Burn in the interim. So we're playing against a lot of the aggressive decks of the format, which, as you can see, is fine with us. Now, we're not a deck that has a lot of binary matchups, a lot of really polarizing matchups. It's just not how the Rock operates, right? So even though these are all matchups that were more or less fine to see, it's not like any of them are even close to free wins. Like, Humans especially is 50-50. Bant Spirits especially is unfavorable. Blue-White, I think, is a little better for us specifically, even though, like I said, I kind of like Blue-White myself. If I was playing Spirits, I might opt for Blue-White rather than Bant, but it's because I really like the two-color stuff. Oh, you know what? I better go say hi to my kid. You can probably hear her in the background. I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. Ooh, just in time to join the match. Yeah, so if anyone ever hears my children crying in the background, they're not being neglected. My wife and I trade off with, who's watching, who gets to do their own thing, and of course I definitely gotta carve out time for you, my friends, and that's what's happening right now. They just got a little bit upset, but we'll keep this. It is bedtime after all. That's, normally I can be away for a little while and they're fine, because I think mommy's their favorite anyway, right? But right now they're wailing up a storm. What can you do? So yeah, we'll play Quagmire. We'll say go. Once again, this is a fine functional hand. We haven't really been seeing many of our opening hands with stuff that's like good almost no matter what the game one opponent is, like Lily of the Veil, but we have been seeing some really functional hands, so I'm not complaining. Windswept Heath Pass, honestly don't know what this is. Obviously, could be a number of things, but I guess we're going to play Skoos over Goyf, because it is a 2-2. And, many Windswept Heath decks are things that can get Fatal Pushed, right? So we'll see. I go for a Breeding Pool. Interesting. Nice Expedition lands for the opponent. Very foiled out. When I see... Oh, is it Dryad Arbor, huh? Well, Lily of the Last Hope is a pretty good draw. I think even though, I don't know what I'm against, they could be representing Spell Pierce. I think we still just have to go for the Last Hope here. The upside is too huge not to. Oh, it is a Spell Pierce. Yep, that's annoying. Yeah, that's annoying. What more can you say? Maybe this is some kind of Bogles deck. I'm just not used to seeing blue with Bogles, but maybe it's just Infect. Yeah, okay. Well, whatever. They're only on Dryad Arbor. Well, now they have Blighted Agent, but still. Alright, another Fatal Push, very good draw. Let's begin by pushing here. You want to main phase your removal against Infect for sure. Blossoming Defense. Alright, so we can push again in response, and I guess we're supposed to. And I think it's better to just clock here than it is to bluff. So we do have Trophy for a Nexus, but well, they've got another Blighted Agent. I guess we need to hit that more than we need to hit a Nexus, don't we? So that's what we'll try to do next turn. Infect is a good matchup, but it's still Infect. They can still T3 you out of nowhere. They can still just rip all the right stuff and get you. But if I had to pick a matchup that I would be sitting across from here playing for the 5-0, Infect would be a fine one with me, right? So they chip in for 1. All right. So our life total does not matter here, so we're pretty free to... Well, then again, we don't get anything out of Shocking in, because it's just going to be Goyf Trophy Pass. So let's attack first. I'm sorry, we could have gotten a little something out of Shocking first, but that, like if we Trophy first rather, then we could, having Shocked in, we could have eaten the Blighted Agent for 1 more damage. Maybe we were supposed to, actually. I was going to say that probably doesn't matter, but, yeah, it probably doesn't matter, because we've got, well, no, we're 1 damage shy. We're 1 damage shy as things stand. Here comes a Nexus. I mean, they've got 4 cards in hand. They could just have a million pump spells here and we're dead. It's the danger of Infect. But, again, against Infect, you have to main phase your removal spells most of the time, because, as we saw here with the Blossoming Defense, even though that traded with our Fatal Push, and that's not great, it's way better than them successfully protecting their thing on their turn and then attacking us. With the pump, right? So it's usually the best windows to remove Infect creatures are on the Infect player's end step or on your own turn. And yeah, they've got a +4/+4, so they hit us for 6. And yeah, they've got the Dryad Arbor to block, so I guess and another blocker. So I guess our threat to assemble lethal doesn't matter. All right. Well, this is actually very interesting. I wonder if we're supposed to just tick up here. Is that possible? Like, we can just block the Glistener Elf. Because we're not getting lethal across this turn anyway, right? So, if we play the Lily, we tick her up. We just, again, have to hope they don't have lethal in the air. Nothing we can do about that at this stage. But we can just play the Lily, tick up, and then threaten lethal next turn. Now, yeah, and there's no way we force the chump block here with Glistener Elf, is there? Not while still firing up Treetop Village. So, yeah, I guess we're going to hit with the Goyf. We're going to leave Skoos back to block. And then we're going to play Lily and tick up. This is a tense game, as it almost always should be against Infect if both players are operating. You know, if it's an actual game, it's probably a tense one. Ooh, they do take the chump block. How interesting. How very interesting. So now I wonder if it becomes more valid to Liliana and tick down, because not only does that get a creature off the field, in this case Dryad Arbor, it also gets a mana off the field. That matters against Vines of Vastwood. But if they just have one Vines, we're dead. If they have a lot of things, we're dead. But I think ticking down just got better. I think that's what I'm going to do. Like, I don't think there's too much they can have in hand where they need both cards in hand to kill us, you know what I mean? It's hard to say. But I'm going to take the guaranteed onboard value of minusing. Edicting away the Dryad Arbor. Passing the turn. And if they can't kill us here, they may just be dead. But maybe not. You know, because they chumped, that might have changed the math. Another Vines of Vastwood. Well, yeah, I mean, whether we ticked up or we ticked down, we were dead to that. Annoying. Very annoying, my friends. I guess what we could have done... Whoops, I haven't hit okay. Guess what we could have done differently there is just play around the Spell Pierce. Like, I mean, I even identified it early on, but I didn't think it was correct to play around it. Like, but maybe we were supposed to. Maybe we just... Obviously, if we had known we were against Infect... But which maybe we should have. Then I don't remember the scenario. Would have been push the Arbor, play the Goyf? Maybe that gets us there, and then we, you know, if they have to tap out for the Blighted Agent, we tap. Yeah, that probably would have got us there, honestly. But it's really easy to say that in retrospect. I think making them have Spell Pierce there's a lot of merit to that as well. So, tough game, interesting game. What do we do against Infect? It's been so long since we've played against Infect, but I think what we want to do is bring in, much like a lot of our matches here, anything that kills anything. I don't think it's a choke matchup, but it is probably a Fulminator Mage matchup. You saw how the Inkmoth Nexire, the things that killed us. And let's also be clear, hey, the opponent had a million threats. They had double Blighted Agent, double Inkmoth, and a Glistener Elf, and a Dryad Arbor. So they had a lot of threats, which is exactly what they need against us. So that was tough, but in any case, Liliana's Triumph seems good. Deathmark is a little loose, potentially, because it just misses out on a lot of their stuff, but it still might be good enough to bring in. I don't think we want Damnation, because our board is likelier to be wider than theirs. And again, Damnation's bad against the Manlands, but we do want Collective Brutality. That kills anything, and taking stuff out of their hand is sweet. So, and maybe Maelstrom Pulse is actually a little slow. I think we're definitely playing these, and we're maybe playing these two cards as well. We want all our Lilianas, we want all our discard, we want all our, cheap spot removal. I think we're just cutting, clunky threats. Bob is awesome, Goyf is awesome, the other stuff not so much. What if we do it like that? Where does that get us? Maybe Kalidas is clunky enough to cut as well. I guess we're not playing these other cards, and we still need one more cut to make. I'm going to cut all trackers. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's pretty just basically correct. We're just absolutely racing, and we're absolutely trying not to die. We will naturally out-top deck them if we can stabilize most of the time. I don't think I've ever really cut all trackers before, though. And this is a major tilt. This is our first major tilting hand of the league, because this hand is absolute fire, except it has no black. So I think we have to throw it back. And this hand is awful, but I think we have to keep it. It's got 2 very good cards, so that's saving grace. And we get to scry the Bob to the top. Okay. Okay, I'm with it. I'm with it now on the back of Bob catching us back up from the mulligan and from all the lands. So the opponent just has a little bit of everything. 1 pure pump spell, Might of Old Krosa, 1 pump/protection spell, 1 infect threat, and an Inkmoth Nexus and a Noble Hierarch. It's pretty much a perfect hand. I think we're just going to take the Elf. They're going to play the Hierarch. I think we've become priced into pushing the Hierarch next turn. We just have to slow them down. And that does let us get our Treetop Village down. So they went Pool into Hierarch. Yep, I think we've got to push here. Like, under other circumstances, it's tempting to save your push for the known Infect creatures, but Noble Hierarch makes Inkmoth Nexus so much better that I think we have to do that. Again, it really stinks to not play our Bob on turn 2, but oof. And we're punished for it. We're punished for it with more Flood. Hopefully the opponent just doesn't dare to go all in too early. Dismember. Oh, no. We're going to get stopped in our tracks going for the 5-0 by Infect, aren't we? Well, it's not over yet, but it's looking pretty bad. We need Field of Ruin, I guess. That's step 1. I'm going to wait here and bluff like I'm considering the Fatal Push. And then they will say no. Inquisition's an okay draw, but realistically, we need an answer to Inkmoth. Okay, they just have drawn Pump, huh? They drew another Pump spell, so Groundswell. Might of Old Crow, oh my goodness. So they just about have lethal, so what we have to do, I think, is take away their protection spell and make them hope they're too scared to go all in on the Inkmoth Nexus. If they had a less stacked hand, we could start trying to race with Treetop Village, but there's just no way. There's just no way that's correct. We just gotta pass representing push or trophy. I mean, if they just go all in right now, we're dead. They have exactly lethal. Hopefully they just won't. That's all we can do. That's all we can hope for. They're not even attacking. All right. I like that. Liliana of the Veil. We cannot play her because then we are empty-handed and they know it's a free signal to go all in. They pitch whatever card's not in their hand. Oh, that's so awkward. Yep. Yeah, we just have to pass. We're bluffing even harder now. Hopefully our bluff will translate into actual effective action with our next draw step. Let's hope. Oh man, how awkward could that possibly be? I think in most windows. Okay, Liliana of the Dryad Arbor is pretty good for them. I think in most windows, in any stage of an Infect match, Liliana is pretty great, but here with these stupid +4/+4 pump spells in hand, yeah, not so much. Yeah, again, we just can't, we can't afford not to bluff. We just lose if we show them we don't have a removal spell here. Yep, we'll take the 1. No big deal. Thoughtseize is a good draw. Become Immense. Groundswell, Might of Old Crows, a Distortion Strike. They just have so much pump. I think we just take Become Immense because they might risk getting 2-for-1 with that payoff. But I'm hoping they're not going to risk getting 3-for-1 by playing 2 pump spells, right? So we'll just take the biggest one. And we've got to just sit here and get hit by this Dryad Arbor. It's an interesting concluding game, rather. Okay, Spellskite, well, that's an issue. We're just in trouble. We're just in trouble now, aren't we? Fulminator Mage, no we are not. Okay. None of this stuff protects the Ink Moth, so we are just going to activate it now. I don't think Spellskite can do anything here, can it? Yeah, didn't think so. It's just been a long league, and I was like, wait a minute, they got a Spellskite. Yeah, there's nothing they can do, so hopefully we can now keep drawing more action and stabilize. Hopefully they don't draw another Infect creature, and they immediately hit another Ink Moth Nexus. Yikes! Alright, we need another answer to that right now, and wouldn't you know, we rip one. Okay, well, both decks are top decking pretty well here. And, yeah, same plan as last turn. Oh, one day we'll be able to actually play out our Liliana. And you know, at some point they might pivot to just going all in on the Dryad Arbor and trying to win with regular beats. That's very, very valid. At many stages of the game here as an Infect player, but of course we can't worry about that. We have to worry about just not dying to Infect. Ooh. Alright. Well, we're making a stand. We're making a stand here. Thoughtseize into 2 Fulminators was, those were some decent draws. We continue to need more action, though. I mean, and they had Dismember right away for our Bob. Imagine if we just had a Bob live this whole time, this game would be night and day. Of course, maybe that would have, priced them into going all in earlier before we quite had the disruption, so who knows. But, yeah, they are going in on the Dryad Arbor. Okay. I mean, it's probably a good strategy. Groundswell, Distortion Strike. Beginning of your next upkeep, is that how that works? It is. Alrighty, well, now we're just going all in on the board. No more bluffing. I think we've got an Edict there. Even the Spellskite can be a threatening attacker. We just have to hope they don't have lethal here this turn. Might of Old Crosa. They just have another pump spell. You kidding me? Come on. Oh, yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? They still had a card in hand, so even if we ticked up, we're just dead. They just drew yet another pump spell. Unbelievable, my friends. Unbelievable. Well, we had a really nice league, nevertheless. We got the 4-1. We cashed the league. We got some chests. We got the qualifier points. We got a few modern points. But, oh boy, we were so close. We were so close to the 5-0. Coming up against a great matchup in the end there. But as you can see, they're definitely able to get us. So, yeah, that was fun. That was a fun league. We didn't run into anything that made our choke super appealing, except for Merfolk, which we beat without needing to see the choke, I suppose. And, you know, I don't think we missed Ashiok in these matchups, that is for sure. Yeah, doesn't really do anything against Burn, against all the Ether Vial decks, or against Infect. So we were against a lot of really low curve aggressive stuff. We played 5 aggro decks, basically, of different flavors, you know. Spirits and Merfolk are more aggro tempo, Infect is more like aggro combo. And then, you know, the rest. Burn is classic, kind of its own category, Burn, but you could otherwise call it like the purest aggro deck. And then Humans does a little bit of all forms of disruption while still being mostly an aggro deck. So I can say we played basically 5 aggro decks, which is unusual and is honestly fun, you know. I like being the grindy deck. I don't like playing against another grindier deck that's A, not usually a good matchup for us, and B, not usually the most fun. Like, it's fun for an occasional change of pace, but if you're, like, slogging through a league, especially while live commentating and playing, like, 3 control decks or mid-range mirrors, that can be a little bit rough. So this was a fun league, it was a cool league, and man, we got so close yet so far to the repeat 5-0. However, I'll still take the 4-1, my friends. This was a heck of a league. I had fun. I hope you did too. Thank you to all Patreon supporters. I could not do this without you. I really, really appreciate your support, more than you will ever know. If you out there are enjoying this content, remember that signing up for as little as $1 a month, you do have access to my Patreon exclusive scouting reports, which come out at the beginning of every month. My confidants, $5 per month supporters and up, vote on what I write about, and then I write about it in long form. We could do something like Infect here, or Merfolk, if people want to see it. We've done Humans and Spirits in the past, so, you know, if you want some real in-depth, statistically involved insight on a matchup, that's a good way to get it. It's a good way to support my content as well. If Patreon is beyond your means, remember, that's okay. You can still subscribe to the YouTube channel to help me grow. You can like, share, comment. You can spread this through word of mouth. If you got a friend who's on the rock, be like, hey man, have you heard of the Grimflayer? He plays a whole lot of Golgari. So anyway, thank you all to everybody who's helping this content grow in any way you can. I really, really like doing this, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as there's demand for it, which there does seem to be. So we had a great league here. Fell a little bit shy at the finish line of the 5-0, but I'll take a 4-1 all day, every day in a comp league. So, as always, my friends, let me know what you thought about the various lines in these games. It's easy for your brain to shortcut as a commentator while playing. You just see things, your brain just shortcuts them because part of your brain is used for talking. So, it is true that I do sometimes miss stuff that I could otherwise see. So, feel free to point that out. Feel free to discuss sideboarding and all that good stuff. I always love to hear from you, so I will talk to you soon. Make sure you stay tuned to this channel because we have Modern Horizon spoiler breakdowns coming for you. And of course, as always, more League gameplay. So thanks again for watching, stay tuned, and I will talk to you soon. I hope you have a great night.